Hello, Boomer. Good to see you. You can be the guinea pig and tell me if the music is too loud or quiet or whatever. It's just this one loop so far. Should be okay, I think, if I go by what OBS is telling me. Maybe the game is a little bit louder. Okay, well, we can certainly adjust that. And that doesn't surprise me usually. It's very nice that you only have this slider. I don't seem to be able to actually set a number. So I'm just gonna sort of like eyeball it a bit here. Something like that. Hello, quintuple down. Maybe it is terrible. I have honestly no idea. I've never played this. I don't know anything about it. Oh, other way. You mean turn the game up? Okay. Yeah, we can do that. Also. Is that better? It does have a bit of an up and down anyway in this intro too. I'm not usually like a huge, I don't know, Civ 4X kind of guy. I'm not even entirely sure what kind of game this is. The description of it said that it was somewhere between a 4X game and something like, you know, a bit Crusader Kingsy. So that sounded in principle interesting, and especially I'm always trying to promote more games with Greek themes instead of Roman themes. So, and I think this was also like, I don't know, a couple bucks or something. So I thought I would try it out. I have a couple hours to learn the tutorial, and we will check out whether this game is any good or not. It does have a pretty high approval rating on Steam, for what that is worth, which is probably not very much. But I think it was very, very well liked by its audience, at least. It kind of looks cute so far. But this is literally all that I have seen of it yet. You're reminded of Expeditions in Rome. You know what that in turn reminds me of? There was this game that Jake, I think, played one time, which was called something like Conquistadors or something, which actually seemed like a pretty good game. It's kind of old, but I've always been curious about that. I don't know if anybody remembers this though. It was quite a long time ago. In any case, enough blabbing. I'm gonna just get rid of the ye olde timer so that we can get started with this. Yeah, so this is Imperiums Greek Wars, and immediately off I have an objection because I would definitely pluralize this as Imperia, but we will forgive them. As I just said, this is supposedly a Greek-themed some kind of strategy, Civ, what is it, 4X kind of thing. Not entirely sure. I don't know anything about it. I'm just gonna try it out and we will see what happens. That is of course assuming it will run at all, but I don't see any reason why it wouldn't. The Expeditions Rome is from the same guys that made Conquistador. Yeah, that would make sense. It sounded somehow familiar. So we're already getting the typical hints, which explains why there's a weird black bar at the bottom of the game. It's also not super speedy in loading, but we will have to accept that also.
Sparta and Athens have a venerable presence that has shaped our history, and neither will easily yield their place. Though Sparta lost its dominance a few decades ago after an earthquake, leading to Messenia breaking away, and defeat under Theban spears. Underestimating their will for reascendance would be a mistake. Military tradition is in their blood. They will not settle for second place at the Olympiad, nor diplomatic table, much less the battlefield. Athenian presence now stretches from Attica to far-flung colonies along our sea. They also control the Delian League. However, many allies resent Athenian hubris and treatment of them as slave nations. Outright rebellion may be nigh as other states seek to undermine them. Yet, while Sparta and Athens influenced our culture for centuries, another rival enters the amphitheater for the final act. Young Philip has taken the throne in Macedonia, his brother the king having recently fallen against barbarians. Though his fledgling kingdom struggles, Philip is fearless and ambitious. Oracles have prophesied that Hellenes will learn how one man can change the history of so many.
Let's hope the game is better than the voice acting, shall we? Okay, we venerable people of Macedonia trust our future into your hands. This is what we can tell you about the current political situation. May the gods guide your steps. Alright. Ancient Greece, blah blah blah, agglomeration of city-states, yeah, everybody knows all that. Peloponnesian War, Achaemenid inheritors of the Persian Empire, barbarian tribes, yeah, we know all of that also. I don't think anybody here will be super surprised to hear any of this. And now we're getting Macedon, that's awesome. We get even more information. Macedonia is a large kingdom periphery of the region dominated by the Hellenic city-states. It had access to rich gold mines, that's very true historically, that was a major part of their success. Seeing as semi-barbaric, doesn't vie for hegemony, plays a secondary role, aggressive attitude, doesn't like Athens, the Odrysian and Dardanian kingdoms, and the Engelate tribes, I've never heard of them. Indeed, these conflicts have just cost them Macedonia her king. A new monarch, Philip II, has taken the throne. But he needs to build an infrastructure and an army. I don't know why that was so choppy. I can turn down the graphics settings if need be, but we'll see how it goes. Our military tradition allows you to draw upon experienced troops. The future of this game is like 3 years old. It shouldn't be really this bad. Honor the vision of our ancestors, continue our great deeds. Okay. Welcome to the tutorial. Blah blah blah. I recommend you take time to read the text thoroughly and not just blindly follow the instructions. That's a useful instruction for certain players we could think of. 50 to 60 minutes to complete. But you can also come back to it later if you need a break. That's very polite of them. The tutorial panel will be displayed on the left side of the screen throughout the whole tutorial. That's very nice. This button will help you find... I need to do something about this mouse, it's very laggy. Find the unit that should perform a current action or the current location. This will close the tutorial and all hints about how to play the game. Your first task is simple, click on the help button. Okay, well then let's do that. Did I do that? I did not do that. Hooray! We know how to find help. Next task is also easy. Select one of your map items on the map by simply clicking on it. I'm gonna guess that that's you. Oh, you know how to select a map item. Okay, so yeah, we get all this. In the lower right corner of the screen we have the unit menu. Properties are damaged. This seems like fairly typical 4X kind of stuff, right? So it has like an attack value, a health value, and like a lightning bolt value. We'll figure that out. Blah 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 blah. Click on this to switch to another active unit. Okay, let's do that. The unit that can be moved is highlighted. The orange arrow suggesting you a location for it. If you don't see the orange arrow on the map, you're going to need to zoom a little bit. Game has default actions. Sure. Move unit, yeah, okay, cool. So we have this unit and we send him here. Is that left or right click? We're going to now find out. I'm guessing it was right click. It is right click, amazing. You can claim a tile by stepping on it with one of your military units. Should a defending unit be positioned on such a tile, you will have to render this unit harmless. And only then will you be able to take the tile. You should also pay attention to the different terrains on the map. That's cool. So now my dude, my horsey man is gonna run here. And then he's gonna run here. Okay, we need a proper road network. Roads play an important role in your country's development. Connecting cities, other buildings and resources with roads improves the mobility of your units and production of your resources. Roads and bridges can only be built by settlers. Classic 4X stuff here. You're settling all roads to build by clicking on the Build a Road action button. Which he has. So what's the Build Road action button? Is that this? First I need to move them. And then we click on, oh yeah, you can do it with R as well. Perfect. Let's continue the development of the empire, start utilizing and cultivating the land. Everybody needs food to maintain their functions. Okay, so there is food maintenance. Cities will revolt and everybody gets mad if you don't have it. Settlers should be ordered to build fields and farms around the cities to increase food yields. Only plains and grasslands can be used for agriculture. Order a settler to build a field close to Therma by clicking the Build Field action button. Fascinating. Is this just bad Civ? Yeah, we'll find out. It's very well could be. At least it's Greek Civ, which, you know, has something going for it. Okay, we have to spend time on the game menu. This button opens the main menu. This one displays the game help called Imperiums library, Civilopedia, all that sort of stuff. The big round buttons ends the turn. End the turn and take your time to watch the actions of the other players. I'm sure that will be fascinating. I do kind of like the the images here, though. Especially this really sad king of Mysia. Ooh, the Achaemenids are also in there. Okay, fair enough. Brilliant. We get to see what they're doing, which is just like Civ stuff, I guess. Move their little guys up and down. Somebody founded a new city. That is, that little boat looks really funny. I guess that's a trireme. Is there a way of skipping all this? Yes, there is. Or do we... Ah, okay, we can actually skip all this stuff. Well, let's start by doing that. What is this? Close the presentation of the opponent's action. Sure, let's do that. Because, you know, that was going to take a while. We have received some very unsettling news. This is not a good start. And that for the tutorial. How rude. The Dardanian tribes are marching towards our northern border, and Athenian units have been sighted moving along the Aliakmongas River towards the city of Aigai. We have to adapt our tutorial to address this dangerous situation. Fair enough. We shall teach both the barbarians as well as the arrogant Athenians a lesson. Let's start in the south. Luckily there is a unit stationed at Aigai that could be fortified within the city. So yeah, that's again Civ, right? Use this button to order the unit to enter the city. Click on the city you want to enter as a confirmation. So you have this gentleman here. And we click on load unit. Into here, I'm guessing. Or is it right clicking? Maybe it's right. Yes. Now what to do about the Dardanian hordes moving towards our border. Their city of Lyncestis is the capital and the base from which they sent their warriors to harass and raid our lands. So we need to move this guy to over here. Let's go and do it. They're scouting around the city, keeping guard. Our warriors are well suited for movement and warfare in forests and woodlands. Let's use this advantage. Different army unit types are suited to different terrains. Cool. So we need to put them in this woodlands. That gives us an attack and a defense bonus. Now is not the time for hesitation. We must not let the enemy seize momentum. Every assault lowers the defense ability of the defender. Use this to your advantage, applying your attacks in waves, targeting the same unit with several of your own. Fair enough. Are we attacking you? Not entirely sure I understand. Are we attacking you? Oh, I need to get him over here as well. I guess you can have multiple units here. Fair enough. Well, that was fascinating. Okay, so we had 500 men. Oh, we had 500 men. With 11 action points, apparently. Against 1,000 men of Kruyemir. And we had 139 casualties and they had 242 casualties. Our chances were slim, but we did what we could. I guess under the conditions that was pretty good. We lost the element of surprise. Okay, so they give you bad advice in the tutorial. Fair enough. You can see the details of the battle result window. Yeah, blah blah blah. Our cavalry unit lost quite a lot of men in this brawl. It needs fresh men to replenish its ranks. The closest facility to do this is in Edessa. Move the unit to Edessa and click on the heal inside button. Alright, let's do that. Send you to Edessa. Don't know why the game doesn't auto focus the camera. Okay, battlefront could be our chance. Send a fresh unit against the enemy. Which is this little warrior guy. Commander's advice, absolute supremacy. Prediction accuracy, free from doubt. Well, I know how to phrase it. There we go, we did it. With our 700 men, triumph, our soldiers fought like lions. We had 64 casualties, he lost every single dude. There, that's what we like to see. Nothing more we can do about the situation on our borders this turn, there is still work to be done. We need to invest in urban infrastructure. We can build a new city at the Axios River. There is an abandoned town which will make the construction much cheaper. Okay. So presumably we get a settler, which is this guy. And we move him over here. And then we do... what's that? Build town, okay. We'll call it Bragutai, why not? We're now a founder of cities. See, I'm already so cool. It's part of your legacy for future generations. The plains next to your city should be plowed, fields created. River and sea tiles are very fertile, that's fair enough. Pays off to build new cities on riverbanks and along the coast. So now we have a settler also who is going to go here. At least you have quite a lot of units here. And the settler will build a new field. The nomad unit was spent. Oh, I guess that was the other guy. It can't be used anymore, but you still need a workforce for other tasks. Most new units are recruited and trained in cities. Some other buildings like stables or shipyards. New settlers can be built in Therma. Select a city, use the build action button to recruit a new unit. So we have to build a settler. So we go into Therma. We click on build. And we can... What does power do? I don't know. But I guess it will set him now to do that. This is all very Civ familiar, I guess. The road close to the capital city is being finished. The settlers waiting for new orders. You build a longer route instead of doing it one by one. Click on the build road action button, select the tile where the road should lead to. A road needs to be built to connect a nearby gold mine with a city. An important part of economic planning, roads increase mine production. Very good. So you need to go here. Build route. And the route is to here. Even though that was only one tile, so I'm not sure what the difference is. Apart from actions taking place directly on the map, there are several important windows where you can steer the economic and political standing of the whole country. Okay, let's look at the state window. Now we're getting somewhere. Which can be accessed by clicking the button with your coat of arms in the upper left. A number of administrative tools which help you rule and control the country. I'll come back to some of them later, but let's explain the birth rate support now. You can control the birth rate in your cities, okay? I guess they mean you can increase it by financing the building of new houses and providing material help. The more you invest in the birth rate grants, the higher population increase you can expect. I suppose at this time there's no real reason to have a smaller population. So here we go to our state window. Let's see what we all have here. Foreign relations, state decisions, we are a monarchy, we have resource usage, player statistics, blah blah blah, and we have a slider that says... Okay, whatever. This generous gesture will surely please the population and nation will grow, but it is paid for by state coffers. There's never enough gold to support all of our plans. Let's make a deal with Chalkidike. Maybe we can barter gold for our surplus food. Trade deals forge trust between states, which is another benefit we gain from the partnership. Okay, makes sense. Clicking on the X button in the top right corner, click on the trade overview button. Set conditions for this exchange, set the amounts to 3 on both sides. Yeah, we have a lot of gold since we're the Macedonians, so we should clearly do something with that. Trade loss 2%, risk of robbery 0. Oh, isn't that nice? We will offer... Guess we will offer gold, right? Guessing this is gold. Oh, this is not the current assignment. What is the current assignment? What do we want for them? Is that food? So, I guess I do it the other way around. Well, that's fine. Set this to 3. I would have thought that I was giving gold since Macedonia is rich in gold mines, but apparently that's not the deal. We do it the other way around. Our merchants are on their way to Chalkidike with our proposal. Let's finish this turn. We should know if they accept the proposal soon enough. Very well, let's indeed do that. And now my rivals are going to be scheming again. I mean, so far this is just Civ, but with funny pictures of Greek and Persian men. Which I guess is at least something going for it. Now we get all the nonsense that our opponents are doing, which is not in any way interesting. So I don't care. Trade offer was signed. Fantastic. That's what we like to see. Before we start a new turn, let's quickly summarize where to get information about the current turn and latest events. You might have noticed that the date in the upper right corner had changed. I have not noticed that, but I have now. Spring 358. Additional info about the current turn, playtime, and game details in the tooltip, which I'm guessing they mean all this stuff here. Or that. Everything new turns to the presentation of the latest event at the left edge of the screen, yeah. If you want to recall the panel, click on the flag in the map menu. Not sure what they mean by the panel, but sure. Whatever you say. There is both good and bad news. The good news is that our merchants were able to sign a trade deal with Chalkidike and the exchange will start very soon. The bad news is that the Dardanians and Athenians attacked us again, but their units were not able to do much. I mean, who expects anything from the Athenians, right? Let's be honest. Athenians attacked Aigai, defenders in the city were able to repel them. We need time to regroup and send reinforcements to Aigai, but that might not be enough. We might need to ask for peace, at least temporarily. We can do this in the diplomacy window. So we're going to propose something as horrific as peace with the Athenians. That's disgusting. They do have a very cute owl as their symbol. And it's one of the things I've always liked about Athens is they do have an owl. And I'm very much in favor of anything that has an owl on it. Population, economy. Okay, so this is us relative to them. Our economy is 140% weaker than the economy of Athens. Okay. Our military power is quite a bit smaller, but we are larger. I mean, that makes sense, right? I guess we will do what the tutorial tells me. Our envoys are on the way to Athens. We can now focus on the Dardanians. We have a good position. Should hold it as strong. We have to fortify. The warrior unit damage in the attack is in a tricky situation. It's better to pull it back outside of the enemy's striking distance. Fortify the unit in the forest. Move the damage unit back. Very cool. Let's first get rid of you. Are you the damaged unit? Is there some way of telling whether you're the damaged unit? Is that here? 1.8 out of 3, yes. I'm guessing we need to get you out of here somehow. No, wait, it says that this is the guy that we should fortify. Okay, fine. And this guy is even more damaged, apparently. Fair enough. Even better for forging strong and lasting partnerships are bilateral treaties. That sounds very modern. And bind both sides to mutual collaboration. Don't ask for too much, too fast. Good relations are cemented by gestures of goodwill, and time is needed to build trust. Chalkidike is our good partner, so let's move things to the next level. Alright. Map item info treaty allows for exchange of information. Peaceful passage, non-military units to travel across our border. Very well. Let's do it. Here's Chalkidike. And so we want to do... This is not interesting. We don't need peace. This is not the current assignment. Am I clicking on the right thing? Maybe it's not peace. That wouldn't make a lot of sense, right? We open the political map. Yes. Click on you. Now what? Is it any of these? Altar treaty. No. Joint military campaign. Army morale is not relevant. Trade. Is this what we want? It shows their foreign relationships. That's not really the idea here. Huh. I'm a little confused as to what they want me to do here. Hi Kaladin, good to see you. So we have to alter treaty, okay. Where is that? That's this. Why is it not letting me click this? Reason explained in the tooltip. Look, Kaladin, it's Civ. Yeah, it basically is Civ. Ah, I see what they mean. We need to have the map exchange and yeah, that's it. We need to select things first. That's how it works. So you gotta tick a box and then click on alter treaty. Okay, not the other way around. Fair enough. Hopefully the envoys will return with a positive reply. We should keep rebuilding our beautiful country. The new city is finally finished, finally after one turn. Cities and some facilities can be improved by various economic, military, cultural, or social improvements. Considering that your city is close to a border and we don't have any reliable information, it might be wise to improve the city defenses. Click on the building improvement button and select the improvement you want to build. Also, the music seems pretty loud to me. I don't know what it is like for you guys, but I might turn it down a little further. Cool. Yeah, so we click on building improvement. Map item gets a defense bonus. You can improve units in a similar way. You can give them better training, better armaments, weapons to enhance their fighting abilities. Blah blah blah. Our unit in the city of Pella, which is of course our capital, has no special training. We could enhance its mobility. Pathfinder. Ah, okay, so it's like one of those things where you give it special attributes and stuff. A little bit like, I guess in Civ that's now with experience, right? That you can give it new things. So make regrouping faster, then it should be sent to join the fight against the Athenian colonies. Improve the unit. So that's you. You're in Pella, we can train you. It's very funny that they're like, choose your favorite one, but also we will only let you choose one. So it's now being trained, should be ready for action by next turn. Settlers can build roads and cultivate land, but they can do more than that. They can utilize land such as swamps by draining them. I mean, I don't know how I should feel about that as a swamp German, but let's assume that that's a good thing. And transform them into fertile lands. Use the drain terrain action button to give the necessary command. You can drain only swamps. I guess we will not make any Polcon jokes about that. Let a settler work on draining the swamps. Drain the swamp. Okay, so we get him over here. Drain terrain in 3 turns. Converting difficult terrain takes several turns. Why not, says Mordkop. Well, you know, I think there are good reasons for that. We should also not forget our new city needs to be connected to a road network in case we need to quickly move our units there. Connect the city to the existing road network. Cool. You go here. And here. Or do I need to build a route here? Yes. I do. We should come back to the state window, this time to decide on the direction of our research, because of course we have a tech tree also. Now I'm a little curious, this is actually one of the things that I was interested in seeing, is what does a purely, I guess, Hellenistic Greek tech tree look like? Maybe there isn't one, but we shall see. There's an invention tree. Available technologies are marked by this icon, so we need to reduce the maintenance cost of our city. Let's have a look. Research. Oh, look at that. Here's our tech tree. Primitive, exploration, religion, coinage, standing army, cultivation, sailing, astrology, city defense, navigation, drill arena. They're not the most imaginatively named techs, I gotta say. Like chain of command, is that like a tech? Patronage? These are more like, they're more like civics in Civ, right? In terms of concept, even though they work here like a tech tree. Field defense, survival skills. It would have been kind of cool if they did stuff with like actual period technology, you know, like ship improvements and new kind of siege weapons and that sort of stuff. Well, you can get citizenship leading to democracy, that's fair enough. In any case, we need to go back here and we need to study coinage. Do we click this? We click this. This will give us trading. City makes more money than it consumes by increasing its production. If you say so. Now we can catch a breath and decide on our next actions by watching the moves of our opponents. Guess what we're not going to be doing. We are going to watch them scheme, though. They do look pretty shifty, I gotta give them that. They look like a bunch of shifty Greek men. They're the sort of people who will add coffee that you didn't order to your bill, you know? That used to be a big thing in if you went to Greece. They don't do that anymore. I think the government managed to crack down on it, but it used to be a really big thing that they would always try to shaft tourists by, like, every time that you go there they would like make stuff up that you hadn't ordered, or like try to like fob you off to some supposed cousin of theirs who like has the really good deals and all that sort of stuff. It's very tedious. It helps if you know a bit of modern Greek, then they stop doing it, but they used to scam each other with that as well. So it was a bit of a, yeah. Okay, that's good. I'm sure that that's great. The peace offer was rejected by Athens. That's probably not good. Before we build ourselves the latest news that require our attention, let's take a look at the panel in the top left corner called to the state menu. Okay, so this is all of our like resources, I guess. I'm not allowed to see what it is yet. The resource panel shows the current reserves as well as surplus or loss from the previous turns. I see that we've given up on using English articles. Click on any of the resources to open the resource usage window, blah blah blah. Below the research panel are your 3 important buttons. Build facility, things that you can build outside of cities. State decisions in times of crisis. Objectives. Research progress bar. I guess we are some of the way in. Fair enough. News from within as well as from outside our country is in a similar tone as the last messages. Chalkidike signed them, which is good news. Athens is not interested in peace, but they did withdraw. So let's try a different strategy. If we could make them declare war on Athens, it would make negotiations easier, a trading power, unlike Macedonia, which most of the Hellenes perceive as semi-barbaric, which they're probably correct about. Maybe we should declare this to be Greek Macedonia, as opposed to, of course, the former Yugoslav Northern Macedonia. They should really specify that, otherwise people will get very mad. Diplomacy window, asking other states to sign peace. You can also, which can strengthen your world standing as an initiator of peace. That's actually kind of cool. That's a bit like a Victoria, like great power move. Yeah, so far it's very much, I can't believe it's not Civ. Although it has a few differences, right? In scope at least, and in presentation. That's also an awkward way of phrasing war. We don't demand that they declare war, we demand that they cancel peace. That seems like a subtlety that passes me by a little bit. Let's see if we manage to shake the balance of power. We should move the restored cavalry unit from Edessa, as well as the newly trained unit from Pella to the south. That's cool. First we need to get out of this window. Should really do something about the mouse responsiveness. Where are you going? You are going here? You are going all the way over here, in fact. Okay, so these cavalrymen can go a very long way. I guess that makes sense, because they have 14 action points. Here's the Pella man, who is going to come along the coast through our wetlands towards Methony. In general, these are important decisions that have a profound effect. Upfront cost to employ such a strategy can be calculated, but their impact cannot be fully determined in advance. Curious. I don't know, I wonder what they mean by that. Is there a randomness in it? There probably is an RNG element there or something. Some of these strategies are often conditioned to fit certain situations, which means they only become available when you can use them to your benefit or when a situation might require it. Might help bridge or even avert moments of crisis. Military campaigns should be accompanied by a general who can incite unrest in foreign cities and perhaps lead to their surrender, as well as encourage the troops. Alright, so we need to hire a general. Let's do that. An outstanding military person can pour new energy into the armed forces when needed. A new hero must be found. Let's do it. We managed to hire a new general. General Orestes, close to Pella, joined our ranks. And we lose 5 olive wreath, whatever. Laurel wreath, I would guess, would make more sense. And we lose 5 gold. It seems we found a man who has the respect of our troops. Let's test him right away. Send him to join our forces in the south and try to encourage our soldiers there. Generals can increase the general morale of nearby troops through the encourage action button. But you don't let your enemy too close to your generals. It's a bit like an Age of Empires priest or something like that. So we have our general. Where's the general? Is this the general? Strategos General Orestes. Yes, it is the general. So he goes here. And he encourages both of these guys. The unit inside Aigai can now safely leave the city, follow the Athenian troops, and reclaim the lands taken by them in previous turns. For Macedonia! Okay. So I guess this is like the border, and you have like a zone of control, like so. And so we move into it, which then changes the zone of control. Fair enough. And then our spearman is going to attack. Riveting. It was a draw. 686 against 482 soldiers. We lost 74 men. They lost 94 men. Okay, so that's relatively good for me. And then of course the next guy, who is an axeman, I guess. Agenios' army. I'm supposing that these icons probably represent different types of... Yeah, peltasts, warriors. Okay, fair enough. But we don't go into the city quite yet. Killed all of his dudes. Well done, another victory over Athens. That will teach them a lesson about Macedonia. The defenders of Metheny were destroyed. The city is too far from Attica for Athens to be able to send reinforcements fast enough. This could be our chance to push them from our southern border for good, but we need to wait until next turn to deliver the final blow. So I guess like because we attacked, we don't have movement to move into it. Now we turn our eye back upon the troubles in the north. The warrior unit fortified near the enemy capital needs to rest and replenish its ranks. That's very interesting. So they seem to have some kind of like attrition mechanism or something? Which would be quite cool if they did, because it would actually really change the military mechanics from the usual sort of Civ move your guy around stuff. If like you have to start rotating your troops. That seems to be what they're suggesting here. Self-healing restores the unit's strength without any costs, but it takes a long time and they're very vulnerable. Better move another group of warriors to their position. Okay. So these guys move in here. And then the other dudes go into self-healing. Defense penalty minus 50%. So they're essentially into the reserves. Fair enough. You can build various facilities outside of cities. Blacksmith, stable, defensive walls, and temple. All these buildings have their own function, and so you should carefully select a location for them to maximize their effect. All available facilities are listed in the build facility list in the state menu. Let's build a temple on the hill above the capital city. The temples increase the birth rate in nearby cities, as they bring blessing and protection of the gods. There you go. We're going to Oracle spam. That's what we like to see. So Oracle spam it is. Is there any like restriction on where you can do it? Oh yeah. Seems like it's just any tiles that are reasonably within range of the... We can actually go all the way over here. Wait. It's very unclear in this game when you need to left click and when you need to right click. I guess this must have been right. There we go. We're almost done this turn except for one little detail. Connecting mines with cities increases the resource production of those mines. Our stone reserves are quite low at the moment. One of our settlers is waiting for new orders anyway, so we need to build a road to the stone quarry. That's cool. So this is a settler dude here. And he needs to go to the stone quarry. Do we know where the stone quarry is? In any way? Oh, it's all the way over there. Fair enough. So we would do Control R for building a new route. And then have him do it. That's cool. In the meantime, I'm going to have a look at what actually these resources are. So we have gold, we have coal, for some reason. We have stone, we have iron, that all makes perfect sense. We have food, which we do not seem to have a whole lot of. Although we do seem to be gaining. Wood, for the wood economy. Knowledge, which I'm guessing translates into research. Influence, that's our laurel wreath. Slaves, of course, important economic resource. Citizens, that we just want to have as much as, or many as possible of, probably. And our level of happiness. And the people of Macedonia are ecstatic, because they are not in Greece. And now we scheme again. Feels a little bit like tag yourself, you know? I quite like the Lydian guy with the beard and the dramatic Persian robe. It feels like an RPG character. We are of course going to skip all of this nonsense because nobody cares. They do not want to cancel peace with Athens. That is unfortunate. We are missing food to supply the trade route with Chalkidike, and the trade agreement could be cancelled as a result. Sure, let's mark that for later, why not? Let's take the time to go over a little bit about cities. When you select a city on the map, the area around the city called City Range is highlighted. These are tiles where wood and food are harvested. Note that tiles outside of the range will not be harvested. Yeah, okay. 4x stuff. Determined by city size, but only tiles under your ownership will be included. Sure. Production and consumption of resources in the city. Larger cities consume more basic resources for maintenance, but they produce more of other resources. Influence or knowledge. Okay, so there's like a sort of gradation that if you build taller with your cities, they become sort of more prestigious and start becoming more like cultural centers. But then they are also harder to maintain. That makes some sense, right? In the classical world. That seems fairly legit. City must be ready for this function. It needs to be specialized. Specialization is displayed under the city name. New cities automatically get a specialization for some basic unit types. You can change or add new specializations by clicking on the Change Specialization action button. Interesting. But we don't actually do that. Okay. Chalkidike declined our request. It's quite disappointed. The Athenian colony of Potidaya lies in the south of Chalkidike. They would have probably moved against it long ago, but the two other Athenian colonies on our coast are too close. And Athens could wage war against Chalkidike using these two outposts as forward bases. We could propose a joint military campaign. We shall take the two coastal colonies of Pydna and Methany, and they will attack Potidaya. Let's see if this will sway them. We go into the diplomacy window. Yeah. Fair enough. And so this, I guess, is the what they were talking about, the actual area covered by it. So C yields a bunch of food. Grass yields even more food. Woodlands yields wood and a bit of food. There's a river. This yields just wood because it's a hill. But it gives terrain defense bonus, and it gives us this temple thing which we are building. At least I take it that this means that we are building it. Grass, and this is a field which doubles it. Okay, that's all clear enough. We go back to Chalkidike. And we suggest a joint military campaign against Athens. It's very hard to move them out. Current targets Methany Pydna. Current target's Botidaya. I'm gonna guess that this is all good. So let's just do it. Hopefully we'll entice them with this offer, but we shouldn't rely on their agreement. Some of our units are within striking distance from Mythingy, whose defenders were crushed during the last turn. I was going to say, I thought we were going to conquer it. We shouldn't let this chance slip away. We should launch an attack on it. So it doesn't have automatic garrison defenders? Or is it a matter of just walking into it? I suppose we'll find out. You go in there, and you go in there. No, it does have a garrison. We're actually hitting the city with an axe. And now it's on fire. And then we turn our horse butt to it to show what we think of it. So now we actually get to see the population. I guess the garrison depends on the population size. 300 people were expelled or killed. Nice. Do we own it now? No, we gotta expel or kill even more people by stabbing the city a little bit more. That's fair, that's another 150 people, but surely we would want these people, right? Doesn't seem all that smart to just keep beating them up. I guess it's very Greek. Gotta be very short-sighted and in fighting and cut off your nose to spite your face, right? We have reached the objective population because it is growing. That is good to hear. Is this stuff that we got out of plundering it? Because I'm going to guess that that's the case. We sure reduced its population quite a bit. Mythology has fallen. City conquests often lead to damages to the city infrastructure and subsequent need for repairs. When even the basic functions of the city have been damaged, it is necessary to enact emergency aid. Otherwise you risk a complete destruction of the city as people will abandon such a place. Partial damage can be repaired later. Blah blah blah. People will keep moving away. Cities and buildings need to be repaired are shown in a damage panel at the right side of the screen. Okay. Mythology sustained heavy damage and needs extensive repairs, else it will be completely destroyed. Give it emergency aid. See, first we destroy it, and then we give it emergency aid. That seems weird. So there is an emergency aid button and two others. While the city's infrastructure is being repaired, we can continue our campaign against Athens. With Mythology taken, the other Athenian colony Pydna is now surrounded. We could use the general to try to sway the city governors to join us without further bloodshed. So we try and provoke unrest. Or unrest. I never know, is it unrest or unrest? I think it's unrest. In any case, our general man is going to stand next to it. He's going to stir unrest. Pydna has only 2 population. The chance of deserting to our side if revolt is initiated are 80%. Well, that seems good enough. Morale of the city dropped by 6%. Groups of powerful citizens led a campaign and stirred waves of public unrest. The Athenians are too proud to bow to us. Our attempt had only a minor effect on the general morale of the city. They won't admit that we, mere barbarians, could defeat them. Ah, we will see. But first we need to cover one of our most crucial resources, namely food. We should try to be as self-sufficient in its production as possible. Yeah, because we just had a problem with food, right? We don't have enough food for our trade deal. So we need a field next to our new city, by which they mean the one that we built a little while ago. So we're going to build a field right here. The turn is now over. It's time for the opponents to make their moves. The opponents panel is displayed at the top of the screen when your opponents are completing their turns. Speaking of, probably I should move the chat to over there, because it actually makes a bit more sense for it to be over there, I think. Let's see if I can just quickly do that and move you over there. This panel allows you to filter those players and actions you really want to see. Yeah, we knew that already. I had figured that out myself. You can only see actions of those players with whom you have particular treaties. Okay. Fair enough. But we don't really care too much about that. Alright, on we go. Now they agreed to do the joint military campaign against Athens. We love to see it. That's very good news. The armies of Chalkidiki reach all of the targets of military campaign against Athens that we agreed upon. Oh, so they've already done it. Fair enough. Our honor is at stake. We have to do it ourselves now. So what are we doing? We're opening the political map. Or do we just have to say... Yeah, okay, I believe that. Show the next message. Altandar's army is starving. Its morale decreased by 40%. We don't have enough stuff for Chalkidiki. Okay. There's a map menu. You have a mini-map you can use to move around the map, as well as zoom in and zoom out buttons function the same as a mouse wheel. Sure, and you have a whole bunch of different map modes, which I take it is all this. Take some time and click through the buttons to find what they do and how they can be of use to you. There are 3 more buttons at the top of the menu: the strategic overview, political map, and trade overview windows. Now back to Macedonia. Chalkidiki accepted the conditions of our joint military campaign. They immediately declared war on Athens and conquered Potidaya. So that they did what they promised. Now we need to do that. But first we need to deal with our supply lines. Yeah, so there are indeed supply lines, and there is in fact attrition in this game. So that is already, as far as I'm aware, correct me if I'm wrong, quite a bit different from any Civ game. Surrounding units are stranded without food and armament. Starving units quickly lose morale and courage. Supply lines are vulnerable, should be well guarded. We have to restore the supply lines from Edessa and destroy the marauding cavalry unit. Means pulling back from currently held positions, the situation demands it. That makes sense to me. So we have our dude here, which is our fortified guy, who needs to move back to Edessa and then attack this unit. Okay. 23 casualties. Impressive. Encircle them and now they have no supplies or connections with their own command. Okay, so it's like there's a zone of control, I guess, and there is a... it needs to be able to path back to one of its own cities. I'm going to guess that that is what's happening. Recover is yet another option for healing units, because we didn't have enough options yet. This one is possible only in close proximity to a city, as new recruits need to replenish their ranks are taken from larger population centers. Relatively fast way of repairing a unit, but it costs resources. Most expensive way. It's safer to send them back to the city where they can be healed if you have the option. So this guy can go into recover in one turn mode. Is it close enough to our own city? It's not actually within the zone of the city. But that doesn't seem to matter. Resource 35, 50% higher. But it's quite fast. Useful when you need to keep men on the battlefront at all costs. Let's return to our southern border and the war against Athens. Our position is even stronger. We can try to influence Putin to switch sides once again. If you don't open the gates, the city will have to be taken by force. That's more the language that we are familiar with. So we provoke an uprising. That didn't seem to work. Considering the city has very limited defense, it might fall with our initial attack. So now we go for it. Select this dude. Oh, we select this dude actually. Is that right? Where's the idea that we pick you? Ah, yeah, our general needs to be protected, right? So that is not the current assignment. Or do we mean that he needs to go here? I'm a little confused what they want from me here. This this is what they want. They want this dude to go over here. Fair enough. I forget that you can't click more than one tile at a time, I guess, for movement. That seems a little silly, but that's the case. Alright. That didn't work. Extra cavalryman goes over here. You can attack diagonally. That's good to know. I got an achievement, I think, for mastering the basics of the game. Alright. Unbelievable, the Athenians are fighting like lions, still resisting. Our next wave of attacks must overcome their arrogance. This is the end of the tutorial. Macedonia is now fully in your hands. Don't forget that you committed yourself to take Pydna within 3 turns. We'll explain some important game rules, mechanics and features in the following few turns, but there will be no more assignments. Oh boy. I'm not sure that I'm ready for this yet, but we can try it. Check the list of objectives in the state window under this icon. Which icon? Oh, that icon. Okay. They want to offer you advice. They outline some strategic goals. They'll bring you some rewards. Good luck. Fascinating. So I guess the next thing we do is... Can we have multiple units in one tile? Maybe. Movement 175, 3.25. Thought we'd put you over here. And we attack some more. Okay, that set fire to it. The enemy was strong, the gods were on our side this time. That's good to hear. Next, we have whatever these guys are. Zingaius' army. What are you? Is there any way at all to tell what you are? You're a nomad. Okay. So you can do useful things. What can you do? You can build a town. You can move. You can fortify. I can sell the unit. I can destroy the unit. And destroy the road. And sleep. So basically all you can do is found towns. Question is there anywhere where you would want to do such a thing? Like on the river maybe? This looks nice. There's a plains here. This is all forest, but this is a plains on the river. Very good. Now we have our duty on Amphipolis. I'm guessing your main job is just to fortify the city. As often with these things, the settler needs to develop our lands. Can you build a field over this bit? Let's find out how this works. The answer is yes. I hope that's actually within our range. I see that it's not. Well, whatever. We'll expand it in due time. And who are you? You are a Peltasts. Style is not supplied. Yeah, so there is a supply line system. Are we still fighting people up here? It's so hard to know for sure. Well, I guess if we are at war in this direction, then the city has no real defenders, so it seems to make... And you're on a hill, so it probably makes sense for you to fortify as well, right? Okay, we have a settler here who can do perhaps useful things, perhaps not. I think you are within Pella's actual area, right? Yeah, you are. So you also need to go build fields so that we have more food. Because food is very important. What are our strategic objectives? Let's have a look at them. This is the Northern League. with us, and the Thessalian League, and Thessaliferae, and the Molossian Kingdom. So the idea is to make, I guess, an alliance with these people. Next we have this here. Doesn't really tell me very much. And we have to commit vengeance, we have to defeat the Dardanians. At least that's how I'm going to choose to interpret what this says. That's cool enough. Can we actually do any of these things? So let's go to the diplomacy screen and see what we can actually do here. Can we make an alliance with the Thessalian League? Would they do any of this? Say beginning with a defense pact. So we have map exchange, we have supply support, we have city visibility, all this stuff. Likelihood is almost 0. Well, let's try it anyway. There doesn't seem to be any major reason to not do that. I don't know if there's any limit on the amount that you can offer or something. The Molossians, we have a defense pact. Would they become brothers in arms? It's too soon to make such decisions. Okay. Fair enough. Then we will just wait. And I guess we can end our turn in that case. I think the music is pretty catchy, at least. It's got a little bit of zest to it. Somehow reminds me a little bit of like some of the EU4 tracks. Did I know I can use quick save and quick load? I did not know that. Alright, we get to see what all these people are doing. That's probably not that interesting. Is there a way of setting it to enemies only? Thought there was, but I don't see it now. So let's just skip this. Yeah, they wouldn't do it yet. It is too soon to make such decisions. That's to be expected. A temple close to Pella was improved with defense. Cities and villages grow and flourish. We will build a great empire one day that will become the center of the world. We sure will. What does this actually get me? I guess the idea was that it would increase population, right? So temple was improved. Okay, that's nice. Putting us under siege, the people are starving. The morale in the city dropped by 18%. If we can hold the blockade a bit longer, the city will surrender or they will starve to death. Very pleasant. Sounds believable. I guess it's because we have cut off their supply line here and they can't supply overseas. That's fair enough. The Paeonians were destroyed. We deserve our respect as the original inhabitants of these lands and as fierce and courageous warriors. And why were the Paeonians destroyed and who are they? We will never know. Okay, we will learn something about resources now. You should always take care to use them effectively. Gold from gold mines. Cities generate income if they're upgraded to trading centers. Used mostly for soldiers' pay and maintenance. Yeah, that makes sense. Right? It's like, what do you do with gold? You pay your troops. There are actually theories that the origins of money and coinage, which started in the Greek world, in the city-states in Anatolia, that may have something to do with the hiring of mercenaries and the endless wars between the city-states in that region. Coal is acquired from coal mines and is mostly used in production in cities and blacksmiths. Okay. That seems a little funny, but sure. Stone is from stone quarries, repair works in cities and other buildings, and construction. Iron from iron mines, used when recruiting new units. So that's essentially weapons. Food is produced on fertile lands lying within a city range. It's consumed by all your people and units. Cannot be stored for long. That is also very interesting, because that was a real factor in Greek politics, was the problem that you couldn't store food for very long, especially wheat and other grain. So they built all these colonies, right, with the idea of feeding big cities like Athens with the food supplies from these colonies. But they also had a problem with storage, partially because the technology wasn't there, but also partially because people were very suspicious of people who stored grain, because that was associated with hoarding, right, and with trying to drive up prices in times of scarcity and so on. And so there was a lot of demand that, like, the grain supply always be transparent and so on. But the result was that they were quite vulnerable to famines and to sieges, because they wouldn't store a lot of food. This was especially true for Athens, which in the early classical period had several cases like that, and I think also during the later classical period. So wood is harvested from forest hills and woodlands, necessary for all construction repair works. Yes. What is influence? It can be used as a counterweight in case another country wants to spread its influence in your territory. You can use it to convince foreign cities, tiles or units to join your country. Okay, so that's a little bit like the culture spread in Civ, right? Which I always thought was one of the nicer ideas from the later Civs, which I haven't played all that much, but a little bit. Knowledge is generated in cities. The more people you have, the higher the knowledge level in your country. You can use it to research new technologies, yes. Citizens are born in cities. Birth rate support, workforce, yes. Basis of our standing armies. Slaves are the main workforce of the state, mainly produced in slave markets and partially in the cities. The ideal ratio of slaves to citizens depends on the type of government. Too many slaves has a negative impact on happiness. Surely you would think that the happiness of the citizens would go up, but maybe the meaning of the whole population. The numbers are too low, the resource production is negatively affected. Happiness is a combination of many factors: the type of government, abundance of resources, administration centered in a capital city. It's also good for army morale, so that's actually quite useful. Prevents enemies from spreading their influence in your cities. Okay, sure. So now it's 357 in Macedonia. Do we get to do anything? Lands of Macedonia have been captured. What is going on over here? Okay, so we have a problem here with these guys, because we have one dude over here and several dudes of theirs. So we need to get some troops that go in this direction. I need to remember that I need to scroll with the keyboard. If I attack you, do I have any chance of winning? I do. And about you, definite advantage, good prospects. Well, let's give that a go. Victory, the enemy was strong, but the gods were on our side. We did 192, yeah, we killed most of his cavalry dudes. The other question is everybody producing something? Because normally in a Civ type game, right, you have here, and you then have your orders to build something. So you probably want them to be building things. But I guess it's in this game the case that you're not necessarily all the time building something. It's not like Civ where like you lose basically time and advantage if you don't build. Here you rather build when you need it. So it costs 7 gold, costs 7 wood, I guess. 7 people. Oh yeah, you can see up here also what the impact would be. So you have this like negative. So if you go to people here and you click on this, it will tell you how it reduces, which is pretty nice. So there's actually some thought put into the UI. Slower cavalry unit with good performance on flat terrain. Peltasts for combat on even terrain. Hello Finboy, good to see you. Good evening. I hope you're ready for some slightly janky Greek Civ, because that's what's on the menu right now. I am trying out this game that is basically Civ, I don't know, 4 or 5, but with Greeks and only Greeks. Now I have a special interest in Greeks. I have less of an interest in Civ type games, but I'm still going to try it out for a little bit. Time for action. Well, we shall see. These kind of games are not famous for their, let's say, high speed of action, and also it takes a little while to get used to this UI, shall we say. There's a lot of options and a lot of things going on. Now I wonder if I build a lot of stuff everywhere, whether that would be bad or whether that would actually work. Because you would think that, like here in Edessa, we would normally want to build something, right? These guys can make warrior cavalry, good at skirmishers, high mobility, especially in forests. So different cities can build different kinds of guys. So let's also build the warriors. Why not? Next we have, who are you? You are a settler. A settler is for decorating our cities. What is your terrain? That is that. So you need to go here and make another field. What's my special Greek interest? Well, that's kind of funny because I kind of grew up on ancient Greek history on account of the fact that my mother, now retired, was a professor of ancient Greek history. Fairly successful, influential one, in fact. She retired a couple years ago, but she's still doing, she actually still publishing books and working in the field, and is also a founder of a major European network of ancient Greek historians and so on and so forth. So my sister and I very much grew up on Greek myths and on Greek history, and as a result I've always had more of an affinity with Greece than Romans, which, you know, other people like Jake prefer. So whenever there's Greek-themed games, I'm always interested in trying them out. And Zeus, you know, the city builder, wasn't a huge success, at least from my point of view. So I was more interested in seeing whether this would be better. Yeah, see, that's the thing, Khosrow. I already tried Zeus, but I have to be honest, I wasn't very into it. It seemed like just strictly inferior to Caesar. Like, it was trying to do a bunch of different things, but it wasn't actually, like, doing them very well. I did like certain things about it. The graphics I liked the kind of design approach of it, and I liked how they really incorporated some real Greek historical elements, like the way that you call up your armies and so on, but a lot of the stuff was really janky. Let's see, what happened to our... Didn't we have some kind of, like, general? That's not you, right? You're just a cavalry unit. And you are... what are you? You are peltasts, who are pretty good. So how about you go and stab the city a little bit more? So we've expelled and or killed another 120 people. That's pretty good. Oh, there's our general guy. That's it. He's under there. He needs to encourage our men. Go forth, men. Can he also... he can kill your generals. That's also very Greek. Greeks were a big fan of executing and exiling all their generals when they were not successful. Was I immersed in the Greek language? Well, I did go to, you know, being a properly educated boy and all, I did go to gymnasium, which some of you might know, but for those not familiar, it's kind of the elite level of schooling where you do Latin and Greek. I always initially, when I was young, to be honest, had more interest in Latin. It's also a little easier than ancient Greek. But I still did about 4 years of Greek and about 7 years of Latin. And in recent times I've been trying to learn modern Greek a little bit, which I think is a very fun language. And I spent some of the spring on holiday in Athens and had been prepping my modern Greek for that purpose. You only had Latin in gymnasium, no Greek. Pff, you can barely even call it a gymnasium then. That's just a Latin school. I mean, what kind of culture do they have in Austria? Not even Greek. Surely everybody can understand the immense utility of ancient Greek. Okay, so we have captured Pydna, which is what we promised the other dudes that we were going to do. We also captured a whole bunch of crap from taking the city. The army gained this scouts improvement. Which army is that? Is that you? I'm guessing that's you. No, I don't want to select you. Yeah, I want to select this army. Pathfinder Scouts. What does Scouts do? Map items view range is increased. Okay. Now what do we do with this cavalry unit? Do we go in here? Well, we are not at war with the Thessalian League as far as I'm aware. So I don't see that we have much reason to hang out here. So maybe you should just withdraw into the city and hang out over there. And you can stay there, I guess. How does modern and ancient Greek compare? Yeah, I mean, we're talking more than 2,000 years of sound changes, right? So one of the things that's most notable, which anybody will immediately notice if they ever hear Greek, is that almost all the vowels have shifted upwards. So they have immense across-the-board vowel raising. So where ancient Greek had a considerable amount of... Oh yeah, I need to help the city, don't I? Where the ancient Greek had a considerable amount of vowels, Greek in modern times has changed almost all of them to E. So like what used to be the U is now an E, and what used to be E is now an E, and of course the E is an E. And another thing that they do is they got rid of all the diphthongs. So things that were used to be A are now E, and things that used to be I are now E, and so on. So there's been quite a lot of vowel shifting going on. What you also notice is like, even in the basic vocabulary, there's quite a bit of semantic shift, because there's been, especially in the Byzantine period, there was a lot of borrowing going on. First from Latin, and later also from Turkish and things like that. The Greeks don't really like it when you point that out, but it is true. I know, not the diphthongs. It's a real shame. It's one of the characteristics of ancient Greek, but you know, people found them hard to pronounce, and then they gave up on them. You can destroy a bridge. You can pillage your own thing. You can build special buildings by clicking on the build facility button with a hammer in the top left of the screen. Oh yeah, that is true. We can do that. So let's do that. We can build a stable, which will cost us a bunch of gold. We don't actually have much gold. I gotta be honest, so I don't think we can actually build that. I assume we can't incur debt. And so even some of the basic vocabulary is now different. Like, you know how like in ancient Greek you have hydros as a word for water, but in modern Greek the word for water is tongero. And that's just because in the Byzantine era that word got replaced. But still, I will say, like, you know, the alphabet, right? The writing system is almost completely the same as it was. All of the, what used to be tonalities, or like pitch accent that Greek used to have, is now simply stress. So in some ways it's quite easy. And if you know a little bit of ancient Greek, it does become a lot easier to at least guess what things are. And the grammar in some ways is actually being simplified, although it has also borrowed some of its grammatical features from Slavic languages around it. So you need to actually come over here so that you can go and reinforce our position on this side. You are over here. Question is, can you build a city or do something useful here? What are these things? These are scrublands. Scrublands are probably for scrubs, right? Let's be honest here. There's woodlands here, there is forest here. Aren't you like oh yeah, you're a nomad. So if I want the nomad to build a city, how would I go about that? I don't know. Or have you... Oh, you've already moved, so I need to end the turn. Okay, fair enough. Let's do that then. And now we got the beautiful "Your enemies are scheming" screen, which I think is honestly the best feature of this game so far. Because this is very funny. I don't know, maybe it's not as funny to other people, but this is very funny to me. And especially this Lydian guy. I like him a lot. And I mean, you gotta hand it to them. They really went out of their way here to design like different kinds of outfits for all of the different cultures and stuff, and to represent them in this way. You can also change the music. That's fine. I'm not too bothered. So you can watch your friends and enemies do stuff, or you can actually just skip it, which is probably a little bit more exciting. Alright, too much of the country's wealth is spent on the military. The impact on general happiness is minus 15%. That's probably because I was building all these units. You might claim that all of this is done to protect the safety and well-being of your people, but the citizenry thinks that maintaining such a big army is too costly and unnecessary. I don't remember asking the citizenry everything, or anything at all. I mean, we are meant to be a monarchy. Why are we asking them? You can appease them by decreasing military power, increasing the population count by providing a higher birth rate support. You should try to keep the ratio between your armed forces, I assume they mean, and citizens balanced. Okay. Army morale. Victory or defeat is not just a matter of strength and strategy, but the army morale of the soldiers, discipline, and their trust in the military leadership, which can have a great impact as well. Soldiers have different morale depending on which enemy they face. Recent losses or gains, histories of previous battles, training or experience. Interesting, so it's also like, if you lose a bunch, your army units actually get weaker, so you have these fairly realistic feedback loops. How can you boost your morale? Prophecy could be the encouragement your troops need. Convince them that victory is close, but if it proves to be a false prophecy, units lose trust in the military leadership and surrender to the enemy. So you basically gamble on winning. That seems about how prophecy worked, right, in the ancient world. A big empire will fall, right? Strategy review of the enemy's tactics and plans. Persuade the troops that you have a chance to win. You have to pay some specialists up front. Even if the military review will not have the desired effects on the units. Turns out on military review that you are absolutely toast. You can give them a speech, but you might not manage to inspire them. So I guess these are some like RNG driven elements. The safest way is propaganda, of course. Investment can really pay off, but if used too often, you lose your credibility. Is there any explanation of where you would do such a thing? What do we have here? This is defense. Alert units on standby. Switch to the next unit. This is us, Macedonia, number of attacks, current health, current action points. Interesting. Trade overview, strategic overview. Okay, this is everything we have. So we can see our cities. For some reason that makes me remember a very, very bad game playing Aztec Land. Didn't they just bring out this game in Aztec Land? People were talking about this, like, you play as the Aztecs and you try to kill the Spaniards and stuff. What happened to that? Is that in early access or what? So what can this unit do? You can probably move into the city. This work, dangerous position, yeah, so we don't want to do that. Can load the unit, destroy it, influence, blah 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 blah. Cannot heal, doesn't have enough action points. Okay, fair enough. So basically, we just want to keep you in reserve, I guess. How do we do that? Switch into the next unit. And you attack good prospects. Let's do it. Was that only just announced and not E3? Yeah, could be. I just remember people talking about it. That, okay, we killed Balush's army. That's a pretty good odds. 615, 98 for us. Seems pretty solid. What can we do here? Probably want to move you here. Have you chop some wood? Why not? Maybe I guess we need wood, but we also need more people, right? So let's have a look at our overall objectives. Is there any explanation of what this entails? Yes. Okay, it tells me here what we're doing. Northern League, we need to befriend and make a military pact with similar states. We need to kill the Dardanians because they killed our previous king. We need to get more resources, either through trade or exploitation, but they don't say which resources. Let's see to the defense of Aigai and Edessa. Okay, we can do that. In which case you should probably go over here. I'm not sure the music fits well. No, I'm not either. There was a way of changing the music, right? Well, that's turning off the game sounds. Oh, it's up here in the right. I see. How about you calm down a little bit? Okay, so we load the unit here, which I believe is fortify. Yes, in this city, please. No. Yes, maybe. Did it do that? Can't really tell if that did it or not. There we go. You go in there. And our man over here can self-heal. You have built another field, that's very good. Do we have other resources that we can build or make? Can we build mines and things like that? You can build roads, you can build routes, load unit, fortify, sell unit, skip unit, build town, build farm, there are no improvements available. Okay. So we can send you over here. Do you have any improvements you can make here? Not just go build a road, I guess. Who are you? You are Zenai's army. Oh, you're the nomads. I was trying to figure out how to get you to build a city. I guess you can do that, so let's do it. And we will call the city Armisa. Why not? More cities, more joy, I'm sure. You're a settler. You need to improve the land. So you go over here. And build a field. Alright, we have more enemies on the way. You don't have very much you can do here, since you're too weak. This army, how's this army doing? 1.4 out of 3, that doesn't seem amazing, to say the least. How would you do against these guys? Well, I have you, can I have you attack? I cannot. Why not? Where is that? That's a little confusing. How about you go on the hill here? And then we have our general, and our general should probably make his way to where the fight is actually happening, which is to say up here. There seems to be a lack of phalanxing. Yeah, I was also a little curious about that. So we have peltasts and we have warrior guys. And that seems about it. But we can check out whether there's more we can do. Also, let's look at the birth rate support. Can we afford to increase this? Sure. Are we making enough money? I can't really tell from here. Let's first have a look at how much money we're actually making in gold. Last turn surplus loss plus 0.38. Okay. So if we increase it a little bit, that should be okay, right? 0.25 or so. Let's look at what this means. No, we cannot change our government. Trade overview, we can do some foreign relations. Let's talk again to the Thessalians. See how much they like us now. Our invoice might be accepted quite soon. I guess we have just sent one, so you have a cooldown on that. Well, fair enough. That seems okay. We will end the turn. Alright, we get to see dudes running around again. That's probably not that exciting. Skip the current animation. Skip the actions of this opponent. Don't care about the Thessalian League all that much. We do care about these guys. They're not really doing anything much. I guess they're about where Thessaloniki is, right? And they have some boats. Good for them. Okay, we don't care about any of you. We do care about what Athens is doing. Well, whatever. Let's move on. You want to accept signing a peace treaty from Akarnania. These guys are all the way over here. I guess we can see on the map where they are. Yeah, sure, why not? I see no particular reason not to do that. That makes us very peace-loving, right? And spreads our influence, I hope. Okay, and now the Dardanians also want a peace treaty. Boyarcha initiated the talks. The Dardanian kingdom agreed to negotiate peace with you. Yeah, but I didn't just build all those military dudes for nothing. Besides, we have an objective to crush these guys. So that's not gonna happen. We can do it with the... What are these guys? Are they like the Greek Swiss or something? Is it just me, or does this dude look like a Swiss man with a borrowed helmet from the local museum? Well, sure, I'm okay having peace with the Swiss. I mean, that's kind of what you would expect from the Swiss, right? The plebiscite has been called in one of our neighboring regions. The territory is no longer controlled by Chalkidike. People felt neglected and disconnected from the central power. The area is now independent and could be claimed by others, including us. Okay, interesting. Except that they are our friends, so it's not necessarily good that if we go and claim it now. I don't know if that would piss them off or not. Exactly, it's the Swissos. One of the most dangerous tribes because of the smell of cheese that precedes them at all times. So improved his scouts. Your local governor did a great job. Taxes were wisely spent. See, that's what we like to hear. Nobody can rule and manage the whole country without the support of advisors and counselors. Government is a system of organization of the state. Seems a pretty good definition. Government affects the effectiveness of resource management and the economy of the whole country, happiness and army morale. So there's quite a lot of different variables in this game that you have to keep track of. Not only are there like 10 different resources, but there's a lot of interlocking things going on, which I take it is probably one of the reasons why people like this game, because it's maybe has a little bit more depth than your average Civ game. But maybe I'm doing Civ an injustice, I don't know. Choice of government is very important. It's important to know that it can always be changed to suit the current situation. Well, the Athenians certainly did that a lot. They went from like a dictatorship to like a republican form to like an oligarchy to back to republican form to another oligarchy. Okay. Here we still have our horseman. The horseman probably needs to heal. That's quite expensive though, having you heal. Why don't you go self-heal? And now we have here a new warriors unit, which I think is the one that I just built. And we will have absolute supremacy, so let's go to town and show these Dardanians what's what. There we go. Get that horseman out of here. 183 guys and we lost only 29. That's how we like to see it. Damaged Metheny, changed production. Okay, so one thing we need to do is repair our recently damaged city, because we conquered it. It's somewhere over here, I believe. Yeah, there it is. Because we conquered it and it needs rescuing. So it needs repairing, which we can do with 16 stone. We do have 16 stone and 9.7 wood. As I said before, after Athens' expedition to Syracuse. Oh, that's a good question. This is 357, right? So we're in the time of Philip. I believe this is after. But I'm not actually entirely sure. It is around this time. What is going on here? Attack a unit, except that the unit is a... What is that? What does that icon mean? Is that like a tent or something? I'm not sure I understand this. Or maybe it's a mine and we're blowing up their mine. That might be it. Yeah, it's their coal mine, that's what it is. And that gains us 12 coal. Although it might have been better to just conquer the coal mine, but I don't know, maybe we cannot do that. Do you know that you can change the names of your cities with a left click on the city name in the unit menu? Yeah, but that would destroy our immersion, come now. So what time period is this? We are Philip of Macedon. So essentially this is situated just as Philip has come to power. His predecessor has been killed in this war with the Dardanians, or the Illyrians. And Philip has just come to power and he's going to build the Macedonian Empire to be strong in the north and have the major rivalry with the Delian League, which is Athens and its vassal states. There is an opening trailer thingy in the game which I skipped, but it basically just tells you that you're Philip and that's very cool. I wonder if that means that you can only play as the Macedonians. I can't imagine that would be true, but maybe they just mean this is the default scenario. The Helvetii are Celts, and there were Celts invading Greece both during Alexander's time and in the Diadochi, so that guy is just good enough, right? That's how history works. So you can build more farms. As far as I can tell, it's just always good to have farms and stuff. But this is a hill. What can you do on a hill? Can you build a mine on a hill? You can build a road. You can build a route. Load a unit. I wish I knew how to like find out whether something has like something you can mine in it. Because here you have a road, for example, and a stone quarry. Can we build more stone quarries? And if so, how? I do not know. It doesn't tell me. You cannot build a field on this, it seems. So in that case, you'd better go over here. Here's our general. The general will come over here. And the general is like a kind of more area of effect buff unit. So he can encourage all of these guys. And then you can go into the city. Now we have the Hermagoras army in Pella. And that unit is also going to move up here. How far can you go? You can go up to here. Can you imagine being invaded by the Swiss, though? That seems like it would somehow be an insult. Also, something would have had to go very, very wrong. I always wonder why the Romans actually bothered conquering Switzerland. I mean, pretty much everybody else since has thought that it wasn't worth the effort, so I'm not too convinced that the Romans knew what they were doing. But I guess it was more that they wanted to protect their lowlands and like the Po Valley and their supply lines and stuff. So these are a bunch of peltasts, and their job is to go heal in here or something. You can also self-heal. I don't know why that's an issue. I think we should probably repair this city as well, if we can, if we haven't already done that. What can we do here? We can enslave citizens in one turn. No, that's not that exciting. Guess Rome had some trauma about being sneak attacked by someone crossing the Alps. Yeah, that's the thing. My guess is that the reason they did it was to essentially just protect their supply lines and sort of prevent any raids from those lands onto theirs. Because that would, of course, be a very real risk, right? Of people running around and then coming back again. Can we get you? You cannot cross mountains, okay. We can move you up a little bit. Very cool. And here's a settler, and this settler can this settler do anything? It cannot. Let's see if I can get some information. Land improvements. Farm, field. Are these the only land improvements? Resources. How do I know whether there is coal? That coal, blah blah blah. Improves from, obtained from coal mines, I get that. A mine within a 3-tile range from a blacksmith increases its production. Okay. But how do I know whether there is any? Switzerland is situated in all the major cross-European trade routes and mountain passes. Yeah, that must be the other thing, right? Is the access to Germania. Although there was quite a bit of time between the Helvetian campaign and then dealing with the Germans on a bigger scale. But they may have thought first about routes to Gaul and so. Show high territories, turn off clouds. How about we do turn off the clouds? Is there even any difference here? Can't really tell. Map labels, trees and fog. Okay, that is nice. That does actually look a little better. Map grid, player color, top view. There doesn't seem to be like a kind of resource information thing. How do I know whether there is coal or not? I am not sure. I mean, absent that, I don't have very much for you to do over here. So, okay, she should probably get over here and do something useful. Like, how far is your range? Yeah, you can go over there. And help Pella with its development. Something like this. Switzerland bad. Why is Switzerland bad? I quite like Switzerland actually. It's one of my favorite holiday countries. It would be hard put to find a country in Europe that is more beautiful just even in completely random places. Like almost all of Switzerland, other than the light industry, looks like a postcard. It's really quite impressive. And they have a fantastic railway system, which is really nice. You don't need to drive anywhere, you can just get around. Oh look, there's deer on the map. Yeah, we don't care about this. Embrace naval travel, reject mountain passes. I mean, for most of history, that is what people did, right? But occasionally it so happens that you're far enough inland that the mountain pass is the faster route. And you still got to connect one city to another, even if it is inland. And not all the rivers go in the way that you want them to. Exactly, I think Mordkalb makes a valid point there. You can't really argue with cows. I mean, Switzerland is famous for its chocolate and it's famous for its cheese, and that is all achieved thanks to cows. To be honest, I don't hugely care about either of that, but it is true. Anyway, smart politicians use military power combined with cleverly used influence to reach their goals. All of your cities produce influence research, which can be used to incite unrest in foreign cities. Yeah, you can use influence action repeatedly. So how do you do it? We are not going to tell you. Well, the general I know can do it. We probably don't want to send the general first though. Let's first send our dude. Short odds, they say. Fair enough. What are you? You're a warriors unit? Defense penalty while influencing 70%. Risk of desertion depends on the morale of the unit. Also takes a bunch of gold. That is interesting. Are you the unit I actually wanted though? What if I just want you to attack? Pillage. Kaladin posting here midstream. That seems like a very Kaladin thing to do, to be fair. But I'm always happy to see Kaladin, so I do not mind. However, what I do mind is that I do not understand what this unit is now doing. Because you are a warriors unit. Do you need to be closer to like attack them or something? Maybe you do. What did that do? I don't know. Or maybe the idea was that I should have tested the influencing on him? Not too sure. Well, let's switch to the next unit. You're the settler. You can go build another field, because that's the only thing I know what to do, except you can't because it's a woodland. Have I played Field of Glory Empires? I have never heard of it, Mordkalb. What is it? Do elucidate. See, it's always a little frustrating with these games. It's like, to really play them at all decently, you have to really understand how what all these buttons do and where all the buttons are. And they usually tend to abandon you somewhere halfway in the tutorial, and then you just have to figure it out. So I can cut down the wood here. Is that good? I mean, there's always a wood economy, but like gold seems pretty useful as well. It's kind of like this very interesting game, The Slithering Answer to Imperator. Really? Now that sounds a little bit more interesting, because I'm quite into slithering games. Especially, you know, I play in my own time. I don't know if I'll ever stream them or not, but I play quite a few of like really grognard kind of war games, like Gary Grigsby games and Operational Art of War and that sort of stuff. Like, you know, Matrix games kind of stuff. And if there's something in that genre that's a little bit like Imperator-ish, you know, that could definitely be up my alley, so I'm glad you pointed that out to me. Let's get this guy running over here. Doesn't go very fast through the mountains, that's fair enough. What are you doing here? Is there anything useful you can do? You can build a bridge. I'm sure that's good. These guys don't have much chance of success in attacking. So maybe we should just go and take more of their land, so that we can besiege them. Here's a unit of warrior cavalry, dangerous position. Should maybe not do that. Could put ourselves on a terrain defense bonus. Or we just leave ourselves here. Our man is somehow a little injured. It's not easy to hover over that. Defense penalty, heal inside. Take some troops to replenish. Yeah, sure, why don't you go do that? I'm sure that's good. It has some great takes on the ancient era, and the decadence culture mechanic is a fantastic way of keeping down blobbing. Ah, okay, so it has like a thing where like as you get too large you become decadent and then you collapse from the inside. That's of course a very classic sort of concept. You can now go build a field here, which should help Pella a little bit. Can we get these dudes over here? They can only move one. Here's the general, and the general can do something useful. You can encourage. But how do I get the general to use his influence? Is there a way to do that? I don't know, so let's just encourage some more. And then you can do something else, but I don't care. And these guys over here, you can continue self-healing for some reason. As you grow larger, you have to dedicate more and more resources to keep your social elite happy, or it's civil war o'clock. That is a nice mechanic, that does sound plausible. Although, in some sense, you can say that in antiquity, usually the strategy to resolve that kind of tension was actually expansion, rather, right? Like, this is one of the main drivers behind the expansion of the Roman Republic. It's this kind of internal tension that turns outward. And a similar thing is true for the Athenians. And Sparta, to some extent, had the same thing from a different, different starting point. Because of the fact that Sparta had, like, suppressed most of the Peloponnese population and just running out of people, essentially. And wanted to maintain this kind of, like, heavy infantry elite. And so they needed more and more people to do it. How do you say Boyotsia? So the OE is, at least in the English way that ancient Greek is standard pronounced, which is of course not exactly the same as how ancient Greek was pronounced, which, contrary to what Kaladin will tell you, we do actually know very well. But generally the sort of standard pronunciation in English of the OE is Oi. That's also because it turned into Oi. It's a little bit like how how a lot of people, I didn't, but a lot of people learn Latin in the church Latin way when you learn it in school. So you learn to say celere and stuff like that, instead of celere. And in a similar way, there is a sort of standardized form of pronouncing Greek, which is a little bit closer to somewhere around the Koine Greek and early Byzantine pronunciation. So you get some of the changes there that are already incorporated. So OE is just pronounced Oi there. Alright, so we have gotten our first technology. That is cool. Coins start to be used as a method of payment as tokens in trade transactions and to pay for services of mercenaries. Exactly what they say here. I can, by the way, if you're interested in the topic of how money arose and coinage and sort of the use of money as a means of payment, I can very much recommend a classic work, or already a classic work of economic history, which is Money in the Ancient Greek Mind by Richard Seaford, which is a really good book. And it's entirely about the origins of money, which is a much disputed topic in economic history, but he makes a very strong case, in my opinion, for locating it in the particular political economy of the sort of Greek or culturally Greek city-states on the Turkish coast. Yeah, exactly. In German it's Boyutien. Most of them were used only locally, otherwise circulated, all very true. So now we have an invention which is called trading. City makes more money than it consumes by increasing its production. Does anybody understand what this sentence means in mechanical terms? City makes more money than it consumes by increasing its production. I gotta be honest, I don't know how to parse that. Like, it's grammatically valid, but I want you to understand how this works. But we will probably figure it out. First, we get to look at our tech tree, which is cool. So this is what we already all have. We just discovered coinage. And now the ones that are available, they have this kind of icon. Because we already have astrology since we have a monarchy. I'm guessing these brownish things are things that we have already developed, because we have a stable and we do have the ability to make them pathfinders. Oh yeah, thanks Mordkalp, I will hydrate for a sec. Finboy says city is net plus for resources. Yeah, but like, or do they just mean every city will now automatically produce more than it consumes? Which firstly seems a little weird, right? And secondly, by how much then? Or is this something that you have to implement in a city and then it does that? Like, it's, I don't know, it seems like it doesn't seem the sort of thing that makes sense as a game mechanic, but I'm sure we'll figure it out. So we can get shipbuilding for naval units if we want to start expanding onto the islands and stuff. Although, to be honest, given the position of Macedonia, there isn't really a lot of reason quite yet to focus on ships, I think. We cannot do this because we don't have enough resources to discover this. You need a number of owned coal and stone mines to accelerate the research. Interesting. But I can't do that if I don't know where the coal and stone mines could be, which they don't want to tell me. Maybe I just have to trade for them or something. Or I can get city defense. Patriot unit gets a defense bonus in populated areas. Cities, temples. Ah yeah, so this is like an improvement icon, I think. This is a way you can make a unit better. They didn't really tell you where you can do that, but I think it's in cities. So I guess the best thing we can do is probably the city defense, unless there's anything else that will unlock. Yes, we can go all the way over here. Since we have wagons, we can also get chain of command, which will give me axemen and hoplites. Look, now we're talking about phalanxes, right? So it's obvious that we need to go with this one. Because we gotta get to that heavy infantry army with which we will crush all of those decadent Athenians. Speaking of decadence, I mean, they have a so-called republic, or a democracy. Wow. You know, if kings were good enough for our ancestors, they're good enough for us. That's what I say. Okay, so Pella improved his defense, so it seems that, like, there are governors who do things. I don't exactly know how that works. It now has 5 people, which I think it didn't have before. It has defense, I don't know what that means either. And it has specializations for these 2 units, which it can use. Okay. Is there anything we can do in or with the city? Ooh, there's something here. Look at that. There we go. City builder of multiple types. General morale is 100%. Loyalty is 100%, so they're not too mad about the too many military units. This is our production. This is our consumption, which is mainly an enormous amount of food. Okay. That is interesting. So how does this trade work then? Maybe the library will tell me. I still get annoyed every time I see Imperiums. I still feel that that should be Imperia. But no one's gonna listen to me. Trade. Okay, trading with other countries. All resources are tradable except happiness. Isn't that the truth in real life as well? All resources are tradable except happiness. This game has some real wisdom. Slave trade is allowed and can be very useful. Yeah, it's not Vicky 3, we're not banging the slave trade here. Check the manual, just 200 pages. Yeah, I saw that and I was like, okay, I am not reading all that. This improvement increases production and income of the city while at the same time reducing its maintenance costs. So that's what you want to build in a big city, I guess. Smaller cities will generally produce more than they consume. With the growing size, the city needs more and more resources. It can slide back into the red even with this improvement. Okay, so you would want to build that in Pella, I guess. But how do you build it? Falls under improvements, I guess. What was it? Trading, right? Trading improvement. Yeah, okay. That's cool. So how do you do that? Do I need to send one of these guys into the city and have him improve there? I don't think any of them have any action points left. Oh, I first need to read my messages, that's the problem. So Aiga improved its scouts, that's very nice. Capital City has a unique position among all your cities. It's the center of the empire where the main seat of the government is and from where all the power is spread. Capital City usually has higher resource production than other cities. Without a capital city, the country is prone to corruption and economic downfall. Why is it that they understood that you need an article here but not there? You can change the capital city, but it is an important step and should not be taken lightly, blah blah blah. You can do that, cool. Thanks. So we have this guy. Does he go to Pella? And then making improvement here? Is that how it works? Because that at least I could understand. Train, Scouts Defense Pathfinder, Sell unit, destroy bridge, destroy road, skip unit, sleep. So this is just training the settlers unit, which is not really what I'm thinking of. Oh, maybe it's here. There we go, building improvement, that's it. I knew that, totally knew that. Except the problem is we have a real shortage of stone. And we cannot be trading if we don't have enough stone. Do we maybe have something that we are gaining? A lot of? Yeah, we have a lot of coal. Maybe we can trade coal for stone with somebody. Is this the political map? No. Trade overview. Let's see, we have to make friends with the Thessalian League, right? So why don't we start doing that? So I'm asking for stone. Say you give me 3 stone. How much coal do I have? Not a whole lot. Surplus loss 2.7, 0.50. Maybe better to trade iron actually. We have enormous amounts of food, so I could send him some food. No idea if this is a good deal or not. And yes, if this looks like I'm moving really slowly, it's because moving the mouse in this game is very difficult for some reason. Cancel the trade, sign the trade. Offer my proposal, exchange demand, counter proposal. Cool. See if that helps. So it's not actually this guy. You have nothing to do with it, which is fair enough. Is there anything useful you can do here? Actually, yes, there is. Insofar as we don't have a road going this way, and we should. And the same thing goes for you. Maybe you can go build a road here. Or do we need to drain the terrain first? Okay, you go build a route. That should be good. This is another army. And these guys are... they're just kind of hanging out over here. They can't actually get over here, right? Just to be sure, let's check this out. Can I attack him from this thing? I can. How very interesting. Uh, 24 against 29. Encouragement saved us today. Not really sure I see that as a victory, but sure. We had 700 men against 30. I guess one dude survived. Sucks to be that guy, I think. You're like, ugh, a little awkward. You are building fields, right, for Arnisa. Arnisa, that makes me think of the Arnese hold, which in turn makes me think of Baldur's Gate. So we have a field here, we need to go build a road there. So we have this guy who is repaired, but you can just hang out in here. I said you can just hang out in here. Yes, do that. And same with this guy. We're still, for some reason, needing to heal. Urge to build windmills and dikes. Well, if they had that, that would be kind of cool. I mean, that's more like getting into Timberborn territory, right? Which is also a game I own and should actually try playing at some point. I think I saw Kaladin play it. So I still don't know how to use this influence action that they are talking about. So I'm just going to have you do more encouraging. And then you can go and hang out over here somewhere. Maybe. What can you do? Fair chances against this guy, but he is fortified. Now let's give it a go. See what happens. Looks painful. 10 casualties, 85. Okay, that will add up. And we have this guy who has absolute supremacy. There we go. That's how we do. Equal chances. Well, we've got some dudes coming, right? So we should try that. We got badly beaten. The luck was not on our side this time. But it also says victory. That's highly confusing. Also, they had 213 casualties out of 1,000, and we had 49 out of 328. How did we get badly beaten? I wonder if that's a bug or something. Or maybe it's like, this was a Pyrrhic victory. We won, but we actually lost. Yeah. Next guy. Oh, that's the end of our turn. Fair enough. And on we go with our scheming rivals. Well, at least we get a little bit the sense of what this game is like so far. Not played at a very high level, of course, but at least a sense of what it looks like and feels like. I don't know, what do y'all think of the game so far? I'm not a huge guy for like Civ type games, but I do every now and then try them. One of those being, you know, I've played Endless Legend, I've played Civ 5, I've played Civ 6. Never very much, but I think while the style, the graphics are a little old-fashioned looking, I kind of think the art design is pretty cool. Like, it feels Greek, and I like how the landscape looks. Oh, it looks like those dudes are attacking Amphipolis. That is not good. It would be an interesting game 20 years ago. So many things look very old. Not just the styles, the UI, and the tons of text. Yeah, that's what I'm feeling. It's like, I think there seem to be quite interesting mechanics here. Like a certain amount of depth, right? It's like, it seems to be doing Civ type stuff. Oh, okay, this is good. Civ type stuff, but with like a lot of additional elements, which make some sense, right? So you have attrition, you have supply lines, you have like the kind of political factor. You know, you have all the different kinds of diplomatic things you can do, whereas I don't know how it is with Civ 6 anymore because I haven't played it in a while, but I always found the diplomatic aspects of Civilization often a little lacking. And the same thing is even more true with things like Endless Legend. So they're clearly doing a lot of fairly interesting stuff there, and that must be one of the reasons why this game is pretty well regarded, because I can imagine if you sort of master the controls of this, that there's actually quite a bit going on. And you could play like as one of the smaller parties and become good and so on. And they have a whole bunch of different units, and there's a tech tree and so on. So there's quite a bit to like there. But the UI feels incredibly clunky. It's really hard to find out what is going on and what you need to do and where. Which for a game like this is really not inviting. Do different factions have different feels? I have no idea. I just started the tutorial, Finboy. I might at some point try it again and play something else like Athens or something if they will let you. So like I said, the intro to this game gives you this kind of spiel about how you're Philip of Macedon, or at least, you know, the Empire of Macedonia is starting, but maybe that's just meant to indicate the setting. I can't imagine they would like render all of this stuff in terms of states and, you know, all these units and all this kind of thing if you could only play as Macedon, right? It should be possible to play as Athens. So what do we have here? Apart from the regular uses of army units, you can also use them to weaken the enemy in a more obscure way, because this game doesn't have enough obscure ways, you see. Raids can be conducted by any military unit except for wagons on land and sea on active enemy trade routes within the unit's current action range. But how do you know whether there's a trade route? Successfully can obtain some of the transported resources and disturb the delivery of resources of your enemy. You don't risk any harm, but if attacked, the unit has a defense penalty. You can use the trade route overlay in the settings panel to display all the active trade routes to plan your action well. Okay. That makes sense. There's a lot of piracy and stuff like that, especially by ship in the ancient world. So after all, the whole thing about Caesar trying to chase the pirates out of the Mediterranean was not, it's not just a tall story, right? It's a very real thing. Let's send these guys over here. Here we have Alexios's army. We should probably go over here. And now we have our cavalrymen who can hide behind the other dude, because you can have multiple units on one tile. That's actually a thing I like in this game. I think Kaladin was also just saying this earlier, but I completely agree with him for once on that it was a huge mistake of Civilization 6 to have one unit per tile. For almost anything that tries to be tactical or strategic, it's a really bad idea to do that. I also played some, I remember playing this World War I strategy, you know, sort of like tactical grognard game at one point, and it was really well regarded, but the problem with the game was everything was really good except that it had one unit per tile. And it's like, imagine World War I, right? This like entrenched front line, and you have one unit per tile. It makes no sense. According to the manual, there are special event quests, e.g. in Atlantis appears. Yeah, there was mention of mythology, and this is actually one of the things that drew me also to trying out the game, was the idea that, you know, maybe some kind of like flavor or mythological stuff would involve itself in it. But part of the problem is probably that you have to meet your objectives and your victory conditions. So I'm guessing if you do a better job of meeting these objectives, then things will happen, and you will, you know, the story, the historical story will advance or something like that, which could be interesting to see. But for that, you need to understand a little bit the mechanics of the game. Anyway, what were we doing? We were doing something with you. Equal chances. Ah, that's good enough for me. Actually, Imperator is supposed to be really good since the last major patch. Really? Forgive me if I find that a little hard to believe. I mean, my problem with Imperator wasn't even so much that I thought it was necessarily a bad game, even at the start, although it was very clunky in a similar way as this. But the problem was that they took all these different mechanics from different Paradox games and just tossed them all into one game. And I always thought like the idea of a Paradox game that's set in antiquity is actually something that makes a lot of sense, right? It really makes sense from like if you're making grand strategy games that you aim for that sort of thing. But the way they implemented it would seem to be to completely try to cannibalize everything that other games were doing and sort of make a hodgepodge out of it without any real clear idea. And that was kind of disappointing. And I will be honest, I haven't really followed much of the Imperator development since. I would have wanted an older start date. Yeah, I mean, same. I would have thought like, you know, Hellenistic world or even before the Hellenistic world, the classical world would have been quite interesting. The thing is, of course, also a question of what is the map and what do we have good information about and so on. Like, it's already a necessary awkwardness of setting things in that period that you have this map divided in all these really little tiny pieces of all these different tribes and peoples that are living there, which on the one hand is cool because it gives you a lot of options, but it's very hard to make all of those things interesting and different from each other, right? At least in EU4 it's a little bit more manageable. But still, that's like a fairly minor problem compared to the actual basic game mechanics. Okay, we took 33 casualties, we had 17 casualties. I like that he's called Priatar. It's a good sort of Slavic-esque name. Even though I don't think they're actually speaking Slavic languages all the way here yet at this point. Maybe, but I'm not certain. Slavic expansion really starts from sort of around the early Iron Age. You can go build a bridge, I think. Yeah, like Babylon, Old Egypt, Hittites, yeah, exactly, right? That's also, if you're talking about a game that needs to be manageable and where you have really interesting opportunities for doing stuff with culture and diplomacy and politics, then like something set in like the rivalry between the Hittites and, you know, the Mesopotamian states in Egypt, I think is, you know, and then having the Greeks on the periphery of that, and, you know, the sort of Anatolian kingdoms and the kind of other dudes that are hanging around there, like the Mitanni and, you know, all the Elam and all that kind of stuff. Like that's really a setting that's asking for a game with like a lot of flavor and a lot of like diplomatic and political stuff going on. But I don't really know of any game that really aims for that period, which is kind of surprising. I mean, not counting like, you know, Pharaoh or things like that. Let's go kick this dude a little bit more. Yeah, that Star Trek game looks to be really weird. Does it? I was actually kind of excited by it. I'm not like a huge Trekkie, but I have seen all of TNG and all of DS9. And since I'm very much not a film and television person, that is saying something. Okay, they have gotten a commando ability. Use the existing dirt and surface roads without a movement penalty. Okay, cool. You can stay where you are. I wish it were possible to just... Maybe I can just tell this guy to be on standby or something. Scouts, forager, train. That's kind of costs money. I don't think I really want to do that. No, we don't want to unload this unit. This is wrong. I guess I can just skip you. And same with you. Why this guy always needs to heal, I don't know. It's probably because this city is not healthy and needs to be repaired. We don't have a lot of stone, despite my attempts to get more, but we can spend it on repairing. Hello, McKing. I just noticed you are streaming our game and I wanted to say hi and thank you for streaming it. Oh, hello. That's always cool when the devs show up. Yeah, for me this was, as I was just explaining to my audience, for me it was mainly interesting because of the Greek theme. I'm not a very big 4X player, but I'm quite interested in anything that has ancient Greek themes to it. And so I wanted to try this out. We were just trying to make up our mind on what we think of the game. Alright, let's go for it. Our soldiers fought like lions. Well, they sure did. Those are some good casualty odds. So far I'm quite liking the design of the game in terms of like art style and trying to evoke a real Greek feeling. But I've only just done the tutorial and the initial stuff, so it's not so easy for me yet to comprehend all the mechanics. I will say I find the UI a little bit difficult. There's a lot of different options and it's not very easy to find out what is where and where you can do things. But that's also with a lot of complex games the case, right? So I don't want to hold it against the game too much. Quite like the music as well, actually. Yeah, exactly. The small details are nice. I think there's quite a bit of flavor stuff in this game, and probably compared to most gamers, I'm definitely someone who rates flavor quite highly. Oh yeah, here we can do the provoke uprisings. Let's give that a try. Yeah, that didn't work. So let's get you out of there again. Can you go? No. It's certainly good that you've gone through the tutorial, otherwise it would be quite difficult to understand it easily. Yeah, for sure. I mean, even without the tutorial, this would be pretty hopeless. I feel like one thing that's difficult to do, but I mean, I'm also like, I can recognize this also as a person who does tech writing myself, like for my job. It's quite difficult to write a good tutorial that doesn't just explain, you know, where to click for what kind of thing, but also to give you an insight into the strategy, to really give you a sense of like, this is what you should be doing. I think that's something that a lot of like strategy games could do better. Like, not that this game is particularly bad in that regard, but it's just something that comes to mind. Because with a game like this, where you have so many different mechanics and so many different things going on, you need to sort of develop an intuition for it. And of course you do this by playing it more, but it would be nice if tutorials somehow could try and build that up, but it is difficult. This is fine, I guess. So this guy is constantly being damaged, and I don't know exactly why, or at least it seems like he is damaged. No, he has 3 out of 3. So why does it keep telling me that he can self-heal? Oh, it increases his attack power. I guess he has a lack of attacking strength. Okay, fair enough. You can keep doing that. Is there some way of getting this guy in standby? You can put him on sleep, I guess. That would do it. Is there anything you want to help with? Something you don't know how it works? I'm happy to briefly explain it in chat. Yes, actually just now in the tutorial bit I had this explanation where you can use the, you know, the laurel wreath icon, this thing which is your influence, and you can use it in certain ways. How do you do that? Do I click this? Does this give me options for using it? Because it just seems to tell me where the influence is coming from and what the stats are on it. But how do I use these influence actions? There was a pop-up thing in the tutorial about it, but I didn't quite understand it. In the meantime, I will end the turn. Oh look, some achievements. Kind of missed what that was because I was drinking water, but I will check that out in a second. I don't really care about any of this. I have to be honest, I haven't so far paid a lot of attention to these movements because it seems to take quite a while, and I'm not really sure that most of it is relevant in this position. So I just tend to skip it. Okay, you have to select a mandatory objective that you commit to complete. The longer you wait, the less time you will have to complete it. The current penalty for postponing the decision is 0 turns. Oh, you like lose a turn or something? Interesting. 5 turns left to choose. Macedonia is a backward nation, but we are Hellenes after all. We'll undoubtedly meet those who disagree with swords, but we need to prepare ourselves first. We need better military units, we need elite training and stronger city fortifications. Or we have our vengeance thing to avenge King Perdiccas. And take vengeance on the Dardanians. But we're already fighting the Dardanians, right? Completion bonus, objective completed. Do they tell us what it entails? Maybe it just means that we have to conquer all of that land. Oh, now I lost it. I guess I will check it out. There are a couple of ways how influence resource is used. You can click on a city, use the influence directly. This lowers the morale in the city, and the city... Ah, okay, so you click an enemy city. I see. You influence particular tiles by your army units so that they switch sides. You use it for emissaries to lobby for your relationships with others, but it's a mechanic in DLCs, okay. What does influencing particular tiles mean? Like, what does that do? Does it just expand your border? Okay, Athens wants to have peace with me. Actually, for the moment, that's fine. There's no reason not to do that. Peace treaty from Sparta. Sure, they're far away. Not a problem. What means that the tile will get yours? Okay, yeah. So it's just like literally about expanding your tiles. Is there any particular reason to do that instead of just, you know, conquering it? Does it matter very much? Or is it just for like having tile access for your cities? Oh, I had another question, by the way, which I would like to know. Is how do I find out where there is coal and stuff like that? So you have these resources like stone and coal. It just mentions them here as well. But I tried to send my settlers onto like hills and mountains and stuff, and they don't seem to be able to make mines. How do you find out where you make mines? Or can you not make any new mines? Is it just fixed in the scenario? Yeah, I get that coal can be found in coal mines, but where can I put coal mines? Is there like a fixed amount of them on the map, or how does it work? You can view all the revealed coal mines, and they're static on the map. Okay, so you cannot like actually use settlers to build those. Okay, that's interesting. I just wanted to know that because in Civ and in other games it's quite common to build mines, right? So I wasn't sure if that was a thing here that I was missing. Press F4, select coal mines. Very well, let's do that. I can actually reach my keyboard. Press F4, click coal mine. Right, so you just see that there is a coal mine here, and then you learn that the other coal mines, there's one in the Thessalian League's territory, there's one in Thessaliferae, the Chalkidike has one, there's one in the Udrician Kingdom, yeah, okay, in this way. So these are like more like strategic resources or locations that you want to conquer because they have them. That makes some sense. And so I guess it's the same with the gold mines and the iron mines. Just a static phenomenon, which does make some sense, right? Because like Macedonia historically has a lot of gold, and it wouldn't make a lot of sense if like as Sparta you could suddenly start making loads of gold. So I can see the reasoning for that. Here's the peltasts. Do we care about these peltasts? We kind of don't. So I'll just leave you to be where you are for the moment. What have you done? You have built a bridge, I believe. So you can go here and go build a road. Build a route to Edessa. Here's our general man. Our general man will... So now I could click this and then use my influence somehow. Ah, but I don't have enough of it. That's it. So you would need like 600 influence and 74 gold, or you could like bribe the entire city. I see, I see. That makes some sense. So you can go and encourage these guys. And get up here. Uncertain outcome. In that case, let's wait a second. Let's have you do this first. Short odds is also not very good. How about your odds? Dangerous position. Fair chances. So let's start with you. Okay, our enemy was strong, blah blah blah. It's quite a large city as well, with 10,000 people in it. So I'm guessing that might be their capital. It has defense. Okay, so we current defender's health 2 and 2. Okay, so we actually didn't achieve anything in particular here. That's good to know. But we have more people incoming. Oh, this seems a little dangerous. I wonder if it would be possible for us to cut off their supply lines like this. Because that's kind of what cavalry is good for, right? You can go attack that. There are 3 types of resources: the mined resource produced in mines, the civil ones, yes, produced in cities, harvested, etc. Hawaiian stones production can be multiplied by connection with blacksmiths, yeah. Other resource production can also be multiplied, for example, citizens by building temples. You're right, okay, yeah. Well, that's fair enough. I understand what you mean there. It was mostly a question for me whether you could expand the number of mines or not. But if this is a fixed strategic thing, then that's fair enough. Alright, so we did this. Important steps have been taken to accelerate further research. Time and cost for forging technology reduced. Ah, okay, so now we have enough of the mine control that we can actually get forging going. You're a little bit out of supply there, but that's too bad. How about these peltasts? What can they do? Equal chances, I'll take that. Nice, nice, that's good. Reduced to 0.8. So they should probably fall pretty quickly now. So actually really interesting in this game how there is a tactical element about, like, it actually makes sense to surround the city and cut off supply lines. And it does actually weaken them and make it easier to destroy the enemy. Which in like Civ games it doesn't matter at all where you're standing, right? There is no such thing as a supply line. So I quite like that. Who is next? Nobody is next? How are we doing on resources and how are we doing on building stuff? Yeah, we're still not doing great on stone because I just spent all of it repairing the city, I guess. But we are getting more through trade now. +3 and gold. Oh, we're losing gold, which is not amazing. We have an iron mine here that will maybe help. We can trade some iron. You can filter the eye movements shown during activity. Go to game settings player. There is setting to filter the movements per severity, also by the peaceful status. Allows you to see only what you're interested about, like direct attacks of your units by enemies. Ah, okay. I was trying to find where that was. I noticed that the tutorial mentioned it, but it wasn't in the actual UI bit for it itself. So I guess I can do that. But first I will skip all this. Okay, now I have to select this thing. Let's select the military reforms. How do I select it? I select it here. Vengeance, 32 turns, 21 turns, but we're already some of the way there. Accept a peace treaty from the Odrysians, sure, why not? I really like these figures, and they all have their like different styles and so on. These guys are basically like the Greek Scots. A trade proposal. You are offered a trade proposal with a demand for your choice. How do I interpret this? Does this mean... Okay, so they are offering me stone and influence and gold and iron. And they want coal, which I have some of. Food, which I have an enormous amount of. And, well, I don't have a lot, but I may have a lot of surplus each turn. And wood, which I also have a fair amount of. But it's also all the way to Rhodos, and the trade loss is pretty high. So I'm not really convinced that's in my interest. Tax the rich. The treasury is not bottomless. Watch your spending if needed to use extra measures. We could tax the wealthy citizens to make them share the burden of managing a country. Great amount of gold. Negative impact. People are very unhappy. Cities might rebel. Units might desert. Army morale might worsen. Okay, that's probably not really worth it. The army is cut off. That is not good. The map is divided into territories that correspond with historical regions. These may not always match state borders. Enable the territory view of the map by clicking on the button, blah blah blah. Territories affect the resource production of all the map items within their boundaries, including mine, food and wood. They also affect local happiness on these tiles. The more of the territory you own, the more efficient the resource production. Ah, okay, so you want to earn the map in certain chunks. A sort of prefixed. You don't want to divide the territory between you and others. It's therefore beneficial to expand your lands from the natural historical affiliations that connect regions together. That's actually really neat. It has a really nice mechanic to make people follow a kind of coherent and reasonable structure of land, as opposed to EU4, where you just take whatever province and can make these weird snaking gerrymandered territories. It's nice to give the player an incentive to actually treat the regions as cohesive. That's pretty good. However, I have something to do now. It is past 11 and there's a thing I wanted to do around 11. So I'm going to call it here, having gotten an impression of what the game is like. There's definitely some things to like about it. There's also some things I don't like as much about it. I might play it a little bit more and see if I can get a grip on the mechanics. And in any case, it'd be nice to check this out and see what the game is about, because that is kind of interesting to me. As mentioned, any kind of ancient Greek themed thing is something that appeals to me. So I will save this as stream. Thanks also to the developers for hanging out in chat. I appreciate that. I'm sorry I have to call it so soon here, just after you arrive, but I was always planning to go no further than 11. So I will call it here. Thanks everybody else for hanging out. Have a good evening. And be seeing you.